have I been? I'm not quite sure how to answer that. Where have I been? Well, I guess it all started about 6 months ago, when I got an invitation to investigate a dilapidated mental institution in Minnesota. It was an offer I couldn't dream of refusing. I, with my fellow investigators, would be locked in for one whole weekend with all of our equipment, and in the end, we would be the ones to state whether or not the facility was haunted. I'd spent most of this past year begging places like this to let us in for just one night, and the responses were always the same. It's just not safe. Oh, we don't want to antagonize the spirits. Or my personal favorite, oh sure, we charge $1,200 for an overnight investigation. Needless to say, I have been frustrated. But I knew good things came to those who wait, so I continued to search day in and day out for an opportunity to arise. You see, I'm making a film, a documentary about the residue of human souls and how they remain on this earth like milk in a glass. Like a chalky residue drifting around. You can tell milk was once in there, but most times you can't tell what kind of milk. Not without further investigating. It's a theory. Not a great analogy, but you get the point. And the film is a work in progress. The idea will evolve and fill itself out over time. I'm gonna call it The Glass Was Half Full. Or something like that. I'm diverting. Where was I? Right, so I'm part of a group of investigators. The director, actually. I mostly document, but I've been getting into the actual investigating more and more as my group gets better at filming each other. There's Jessie, our lead investigator. She's kinda sassy and can keep up with the quickest of the quick. She's a good schmoozer and can talk her way in or out of just about anything. And I think the reason she's so good at this stuff is that she has psychic abilities. She's never said it out loud, but her intuition is something to marvel at, for sure. And then there's the Balson brothers, Tim and Raj. They're both skeptics. Raj probably more than Tim. Raj is fearless and will be the first to head into a terrifying situation, but he's also the first to jump at a bump in the night. I've seen him run from a room plenty of times. And Tim is our infrared technician. He comes from a scientific approach to all things spooky, and when Jessica and I are convinced that there are voices in the dark, he can usually point to a source pretty quickly. So the four of us get invited to stay in this building, which has been abandoned since the late 70s. A new owner acquired the property a few years ago with the idea of turning it into a low-income artist housing unit, with large communal kitchens and bathrooms, small bedrooms, but large work and storage places for each resident. Which makes it even more interesting, all of us being artists in one way or another. When we arrived, you could tell why the project was having difficulty getting off the ground. The building was huge. 3 floors of yellowish-white cement. The grounds, which were obviously well-maintained in the past, were overgrown with a young birchwood forest. Tiny white and black saplings, between 6 and 8 feet tall, pushing through the snow just inches from one another. Between the trees and the crunchy knee-deep snow, it was as if the building was camouflaged to the naked eye. The light from the sun was magnified from all of this white to a blinding level, making exterior photos all but impossible to achieve. Jessie, in what I can only describe as a moment of true clairvoyance, said, "Oh, this whole little forest is going to be a wall one day, and no one will ever find this place again. It'll finally be protected." This seems like a strange thing to say, but we all brushed it off as creativity and continued to the front door. The owner had not shown up that day. In a voicemail, he said, "I'm sorry, but I won't set foot back on that property until I know for sure what I'm dealing with. Can't get a single contractor to enter the building. Too spooked. They say there's a lot of bad mumbo-jumbo. The key's in the box hanging from the doorknob. The code is 1887. It's easy to remember because it's the year the building was built. It's on the cornerstone in case you forget. Good luck. I punched in the code and pressed the button to open the key box. And I must have applied a little too much pressure because it slingshotted past my feet and into the snow, taking the key with it. Ah! Damn it! Oh, good one there, Josh, Raj smirked. Don't worry, take your time. We're used to the cold weather growing up in Minnesota. You just shut up and help me look, I barked back, half friendly. Or you're sleeping on the front porch tonight. Oh, we won't be sleeping in there. Not a chance, Tim announced. We all laughed nervously, knowing full well that he was right. Even from the outside, we could tell that this building was a little beyond our comfort level. Yes! I had found the key. The lock was sticky and took some jostling to get open. Jesse began to shiver, and Tim took out his photo camera. Finally, the door was open. Tim snapped photos as we made our way into the lobby. The floors were old, black and white tile, filthy from years of neglect. And despite the cold, moss grew like little fluffy beds over large patches of the floor. To the left was a desk for a secretary, big carved oak with angels holding up the top. And beside it, a broken window where a tree had bent and curved through, growing up almost all the way to the cracking blue ceiling. 20 feet above our heads. An indoor sky, complemented by white, fluffy acrylic clouds. Curved at the edges and lined with immensely detailed molding, the ceiling stood almost as a mockery of the delusional patients being brought in. Oh no, honey, you're gonna love it here. Look, it's just like being outside. When in reality, they'd just be caged up like chickens, with barely enough room to turn around. Behind the desk were offices, and a one-way mirror looking into the lobby. No doubt this is where the warden, or head nurse, had an office to observe new patients coming in. In front of us were two massive staircases, one on the right, one on the left. Each one had a landing about halfway up that broke off into hallways, probably the first floor of rooms, and then curved to join at the top where they led straight away from us into a third floor. Between the staircases were antique green couches with fancy carvings across the back and the arms. One of them had a rotted foot and sat angled towards the ground. And to the right were the elevators, with all the doors rusted shut. Next to them, a door to the basement, and then offices running back to the end of the wing. We all decided it would be best to lug everything up 2 flights to the center hallway, where we found the first door on the right to be a suite, the office of the head nurse. After an hour of organizing, it was time to explore and set up our 4 wireless security cameras that would record continuously throughout the night. Each of us got to place one. The rule was you had an hour to explore on your own, and you had to place the camera in the spot where you felt the most heebie-jeebies. So we split up, each with a walkie-talkie and a camera. Jesse took the top floor, Tim took the right wing, Raj took the left, and I headed towards the basement. Good evening, world. It's great to be back. Happy Halloween. If you want to see part 2, I've already posted it. Why? Because it's Halloween! Click here to see it. Like I said on Facebook, I'll be posting fairly regularly again. It won't be every week, but I'll do my best to keep it as consistent as possible. You know I love doing this, and it's so amazing to come back and have the support from you guys still here. I really appreciate it. If you like what you see, please subscribe, wherever the button is nowadays. Leave me a comment below if you want to chat or just tell me what you think of the story. And yeah, don't forget to check out part 2.